Right now on Chronicle in High Definition.
Dear doctor, am I too preoccupied by my PC?
I have a woman who calls her husband's laptop his plastic mistress.
How do I survive without my cell phone?
I'm going to lose you. I'm going to be without communication.
The true confessions of technology junkies. Coming up, are you addicted to technology after this? Up next, 72 hours technology-free.
I did take 3 days off of my BlackBerry for the first time that I can remember.
Boston's got it bad. Almost half the Bostonians responding to a recent AOL study said they're hooked on technology. 46% of BlackBerry users admit to an obsession, but at least they multitask. 1 out of 6 uses a BlackBerry while in the bathroom. No surprise to ADD expert and author Dr. Edward Hallowell.
I have a woman who calls her husband's laptop his plastic mistress, because he's with it all night, and she hardly ever sees him. So there is a funny kind of force that gets going between the human mind and an interactive screen. We haven't figured it out neurologically, but culturally, we all identify with it. We all know the phenomenon of screen sucking.
The aptly named habit of screen sucking takes about 1/3 of the average person's time, says a study cited in Hallowell's book, Crazy Busy. The book's main point? Technology is creating very serious attention problems.
It's as if you have the symptoms of ADD. You're distractible, you're impulsive, you're restless, you're irritable, you're here, there, and everywhere. But you don't really have the true ADD. You have environmentally induced ADD.
No modern instrument is more addictive than the BlackBerry, or Crackberry as some like to call it. Paul Levy is a recovering addict. The president and CEO of Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center says he found himself answering emails in some awkward places.
Driving down Beacon Street, you stop at a red light, the buzzer goes off. You read the email and you start writing a response. The light changes to green. You continue. People start hunking, and it's pretty rude, pretty inconsiderate. Meetings. You'll be in the middle of a meeting with important people discussing important topics. The buzzer goes off. You've seen it, you start doing this. And you pretend that no one notices. It's just like people who have drinking problems and drug addiction problems. They pretend that no one notices, but the world is noticing.
Last year, Levy gave up his BlackBerry cold turkey with no withdrawal symptoms whatsoever. Now he says he's more attentive to people and places.
I started to notice things. I started to notice that the sun rises in the east every morning. I started to notice that when you're on Beacon Street driving and you stop for a red light, there are interesting things and people to watch. I noticed that in meetings, you're much more effective if you're not rude to the other people in the meeting.
And he's noticed something else, too.
Other people are very uncomfortable that I've given up the BlackBerry, and when I say that I've done that, they immediately say, oh, I could never do that. It's essential for my job. They need to get in touch with me, and so on. So it's clear they're still in the rationalizing phase, the denial phase.
Example, Nancy Sterling.
Wow, what's wrong with Paul? He's such a great guy.
As Vice President of Strategic Communications for ML Strategies, Sterling's specialty is crisis communications. Therefore, says the admitted BlackBerry addict, she constantly needs to be in touch.
I did take 3 days off of my BlackBerry for the first time that I can remember, July 4th, 5th, and 6th. But the second part of vacation, we went to Lake George, and we had an incident happen with a client, and I was on the phone with a New York Times reporter. And I'm driving with my best friend from kindergarten, and we have 3 services among us in the car. My cell phone, my BlackBerry, and her BlackBerry. And I'm like, we're going to lose the service. So I'm actually end up yelling at the New York Times reporter saying, I'm going to lose you. I'm going to be without communication.
Sterling spent the rest of her vacation inside on a landline. So, was she cursing her BlackBerry and cell phone?
No, I wish there were working cell phones and BlackBerries immediately so I could have at least been out on the deck overlooking the lake.
Dr. Hallowell's advice falls somewhere between cold turkey and addiction. You don't have to give up your BlackBerry to take back your life, he says. just set some limits.
Modern life is great. It's wonderful. I love Google. I love the cell phone. The point is you've got to manage it, or it will manage you.
Dr. Hallowell says one way to get off the BlackBerry addiction is just to not use it at home. You may think you're being efficient when you're multitasking at home. Maybe you're texting while you're watching Chronicle. Put it down. But you're really not. You actually make many more mistakes when you're trying to multitask. It says just put it away when you're at home. Do it on a business schedule.
Get yourself a little peace in your life.
Exactly.
Ted shares the dirty little secret of HD TV when Chronicle continues.